It's time to engage in cyber talk with the Chief of Cybersecurity.
Hello there, everybody. How are you doing today? Who's out there in my crowd out there today that likes to hear me talk, that just like to hear me chat as well? But for today's session, we are going to be talking about something that's very important. It involves the transition into cybersecurity. I know there's a lot of people that are highly interested in trying to enter the cybersecurity workforce. You've you may have been told through certain channels that it's easy, and also too, you may have been told through certain channels that cybersecurity is right for you. Well, I am not here to say that cybersecurity is right for you. I want to be able to give you some information so that you can make a decision about whether cybersecurity is the right career field for you. I will say this though, if you decide to move into the cyber security career field, make sure that you stay committed. Now, I've always liked to bring up that concept about staying committed because when a person is committed, that means that they're going to go out and they're going to try to learn. And learning is one of the key elements that keep the cybersecurity career field moving, but also too as a person, it helps you vehicles yourself through this cybersecurity field and learn. So I am going to be repeating that over and over again. Commitment, because you don't want to enter a field where you find out that it's not for you. And secondly, some of y'all may find out that you can go through certain channels and you can actually get certain funding that will give you free training. If you as a person do not do not finish that program, then you know it kind of hurts the program that funded your training because these programs are funded through certain sources, maybe from the government, from donors, and so forth. So it's very important that if you decide to enter the cybersecurity workforce, and if you are a career transition person, that you committed and you are set to enter the workforce. But before you enter the workforce, there is some homework that you have to do. My job today is to help you figure out what homework do you have to do in order to enter the cyber security career field. Now, your homework is about three different elements. First, it's about you as a person and focusing and seeing whether you are really interested in cybersecurity. And two is to think about the education because this is the bulk of how you're going to channel your career through cybersecurity and making sure that you have all the education and the certifications that you need. The third level is networking. When you enter the cyber security career field, you will have to become a person that likes to get educated. And education is very, very important. And there are certifications out there, there are free training online. And also, too, there are my YouTube channels because on my YouTube channels there that I have, there's a lot of great information on different type of topics out there in cybersecurity from vulnerability management over into artificial intelligence, cloud, and so forth. These these segments on my YouTube channel will kind of give you an idea of what cybersecurity people face every day because you really don't understand a career field unless you work with someone that have worked in that field, or if you go through and do training, or if you work on a job somewhere, and let's just say, for instance, your company states, okay, we want to take 15 or 20 people that are high level workers and transition them into cybersecurity. This is a great chance for you to transition into cybersecurity. Some of the people that probably have been working in technology are probably closer to transitioning over to cybersecurity than people that come from regular jobs. Let's say, for instance, if you was working in human resource department as an HR analyst or something like that. And let's say if you make a decision that you want to transition over into cyber security, and in certain ways, you may kind of find it a little bit more difficult than someone that works in technology. So let's start off with some discussion points here. Let me see. What do I want to talk about first? Oh, let's go define cybersecurity, because if you want to enter the field, then you need to know what cybersecurity is all about. Cybersecurity is somewhat like that bubble around your life. So if I drew a circle around your life, and if all the private information that you had concerning yourself was on the inside of that bubble, cybersecurity job would be working at the end of the bubble, which is a shield, is to make sure that no one can gain access to that information. And the only way that they can gain access to information, that if you gave them access to break the bubble, or if they find some type of weaknesses and they can infiltrate the bubble. Those are some of the easiest ways of understanding cybersecurity, but also too, just kind of keep in mind that cybersecurity is about controlling access to resources. There are certain terms like hacking that you have heard before, and those are unethical ways of infiltrating the system. And then also too, there are ethical hackers, which is the ethical way of breaking into a system, which is used for testing purposes only. All right. So when you think of cybersecurity, I just want you to think about a bubble that we draw around your life. And cybersecurity is supposed to make sure that no one can infiltrate that bubble. All right. So that's your little definition of cybersecurity. So you think you're ready? All right. So let's move ahead here. Why do people transition? There are several reasons why people want to transition into cybersecurity. One is for job security. Let me just be honest about you. If you reach into your pocket, I'm pretty sure you can hit some change, right? But when you join cybersecurity, you can't keep your change in the pocket because your pocket cannot hold all that change. So you have to put it in the bank. So job security and money and the competitive pay that you get is one of the areas why a lot of people want to transition into cybersecurity. It's a booming industry. It's growing. If you look all around you, cybersecurity is the talk of the town. This is probably all you hear, is that people are talking about cybersecurity every day. Let me see. Some of the other things, well, the pre-skill sets is that certain people that work in IT have worked around networking system and did system admin work, and they get bored and say, I want to move on to something else new. So for some reason, they gradually move into cybersecurity. Some of the other things that I always want to bring up, if you decide to do a transition, make sure that you stay committed. And I would keep repeating that over and over and over again, because if you're not committed to the process, then it's a waste of your time, because you don't want to start a program and then 4 weeks later that you realize that it's not for you. One of the other factors too is that you have to prepare yourself. And that means that you have to have skill sets and understand technologies. And also too, you have to be involved with education. So let's talk about the skill sets that it takes to transition into cybersecurity. I also want to point out that the title of this live stream is stated how to transition into cybersecurity, because during your transition process, then you're going to have to evaluate your skill sets. So let's talk about skill sets. Cybersecurity people are problem solvers. So that's your main focus, is to resolve problems, because you spend a lot of time um, finding issues, and you have to come up with those solutions. And the only way you come up with those solutions is that probably you can involve yourself with teamwork, because teamwork is very important, because you can't work by yourself. Second is that you have to be organized, because there is a changing environment in IT. If you're not organized, then you get lost in power. And speaking of organization, yes, you have to be flexible because the IT environment changes so much. If you're not a flexible person, then maybe it's not for you. Because when you left on Friday afternoon, everything was working fine. And then you come in on Monday morning and you see this red note on your desk that there's a critical issue going on. Maybe it's going on because certain type of vulnerabilities have been found, and maybe there was an incident, but you expected Monday morning to be great. Welcome to IT security. Here goes some of the other things that I want to talk about is that yes, you have to be a communicator because if you don't communicate, that's where gaps come up. And when you have these gaps in place, that's how problems escalate. These are some of the core skill sets that you as a person has to evaluate prior to making a decision about whether you want to enter the cybersecurity um, workforce. Now, certain people may not be at that point where they have made a decision, but this live stream is still good for you because part of your research is to do a feasibility study. Now, a feasibility study is to see what is the value in you transition over to IT security because it is the talk of the town. It sounds good and it sounds very, very intriguing. And there's a lot of money to be made, and you can always keep a job, but still, you have to evaluate yourself and see whether you can take the challenge on because one of the factors that you have to do is that you have to understand technologies. And one of the factors about technologies is that IT security has a list of them. So I got a list of a couple here that I want to bring out: cloud, artificial intelligence, network and software, vulnerability management tools, coding, and data analytics. Okay. These are all different type of technologies that are used in the cybersecurity realm. Because let's just let's just step back for a minute. Even if you work in a different area, some of these same technologies can be used in cybersecurity. Let's say, for instance, if you're the HR person, right? I'm pretty sure you deal with data analytics every day. Cybersecurity people deal with data analytics every day because of all the threat feeds that they have, of pretty much all the vulnerabilities that are out there, and also too, just taking a look at all the different type of trends and metrics that you have to deal with. Because if you're a person that has to do metrics and trends all the time, I think you understand what I'm talking about here. Coding for software coding is very important too. See, that's part of IT security. Some of the other areas is artificial intelligence is one of the upcoming type of technologies that you're going to be involved with. And artificial intelligence is about the acceleration of data and information. Because what artificial intelligence does is that it will automate a lot of information that humans normally would do. And if you involve yourself with cybersecurity, then that's one area you're going to probably be involved with a lot because that's the trend now. Because if you think about all the different type of feeds that you get, from 20,000 different sources that tell you all the different hackers over the world, tell you about the different vulnerabilities over the world. The human eye cannot keep up with all of this. And this is where artificial intelligence comes to surface. And if you're involved with cybersecurity, this is something you're going to have to be focused with as well. So let's move on to something else that's very important. Education. I'm not going to look at my paper, but I tell you what, certifications. You're going to need certifications and you're going to need education. And also, too, you're going to need performance. And I'm going to work on this here for a couple of minutes because with certifications, you may not have the money to actually pay for a certification, but there are resources out there. There are some workforce development programs that are out there as well. There are also some programs for the government. And also, too, if you're lucky enough and if you work for a company, they would probably send you through education and and training, and also just do an OJT on the job. For those people that do not understand what OJT is, it's called um, on the job training. This is where you work beside cybersecurity people and you gain those skills, right? But you still have to study on the side. The self-study is very important too. If you go to YouTube, such as some of my YouTube channel videos that I have, you can use those for studying. Coming up in the future here, I'm going to be having some training sessions as well that you can use for different type of IT certifications. Some of the other areas too is that um, is that you have to make sure that your studying habits are correct. I always make that case because a lot of times people probably hear this little slogan about all you need to do is to pass the test. Yes, you do need to pass the test, but also too, you kind of need to know how to apply the information from the test. So do not get bothered into just passing the test, but also know the information. Because during your transition process, if you get a certification, somewhere down the line, you're going to have to do a job interview. Okay. And most people know that you just started out and they could ask you a basic question such as, what is the CIA triad? Okay. And, they could ask you a question, okay, what is the difference between threat vulnerabilities and risk? Those are very simple things to know when it comes to IT security. All right. So when you do your education and training, make sure you stay committed to the process. So that means that you don't put the book down and wait 3 weeks later. I would say that if you study every day, it kind of helps out because all you need to do is to study for 1 hour per day. You can go to YouTube and if you're on your phone, you can listen to videos. I know, for instance, some of the podcast sessions I have, I try to look at the security architect and break it down and to make it simpler so that people can understand how to engage cybersecurity. If you are a great reader, I still would say that go out there and get the cybersecurity mindset because the book breaks down cybersecurity into 20 chapters and it gives you an idea of how cybersecurity operates. And also, too, it shows you how to build a cybersecurity puzzle, right? A puzzle. How do you take the different pieces of cybersecurity and you branch them together? So, so you got to work on education. Now, let's just imagine that you got your education and your training. Now it's time to get that job, right? But what you have to do is to network, and networking start long before you get your certification. Networking starts as soon as you make a decision to enter the cybersecurity workforce because you can go to conferences and you can go to events and you can have a conversation with different vendors and say, hey, I am working on entering the cybersecurity workforce. And it may take you from 6 months to a year just to get on the job. But if you start to network early and if you build a relationship with certain companies and certain people, then it kind of helps out because you don't want to wait until you get your certification and try to find a job. See, you want to start this at the beginning. And usually when you make a decision that you want to enter the cybersecurity workforce. So let's do some takeaways here. And I'm going to read this off my list. One is it is a fast growing industry and that's a huge skills gap. Now, the skill gap is prior to getting the job because people don't have the skills and education just to move into cybersecurity. So there's a skill gap shortage there. One of the other things is that that's a high paying job. Everybody likes money. I like money, but you have to put the work in. All right. Let's see what else on my list here. Many other technical fields have skills that can quickly transfer to cybersecurity. Yes, that's true. If you are in application development, you are a cybersecurity person. Think about buffer overflow, SQL injection. Think about the different coding programs that you work with. think about the SAS testing. Think about DAS testing. If you are working around the financial industry, and let's say like financial information systems, right? That can carry over to IT security as well too, because those information systems that you work with, underneath there's a cybersecurity blueprint, and cybersecurity is what keeps the financial system operating. So you already know the system. The next step is to learn how cybersecurity integrates into that particular system. Some of the other things on my list here, soft skill like presentation and communication. I'm going to say that very important, because now that you're good at driving all these solutions, you need to know how to present information like on PowerPoint slides. All right, because cybersecurity is about 50% technology, and the rest is based on your soft skills and your communication skills that you have in place. So let's talk about some of the other things, all the different paths you can go, because there's so many different labor categories that you can choose. If you decide to transition into the cybersecurity workforce, you can work for the government, you can work for contracting companies, you can work for healthcare companies, you can work as a consultant. It's just endless on like where you can go, because cybersecurity is the fabric of technology today. But I cannot say that cybersecurity is made for everyone. I'm just stating that do your homework and see whether it's feasible that you can enter the industry. Is it really the field that you want to be in? Because it's a rapid changing environment and it's very technical in so many ways, but you have to do your homework. Some of the other areas too, cybersecurity boot camps out there. Yes, because you can go to a 5-day course and you get all the training you want, but you have to pass the test. All right. So what I want as a true takeaway is for you as a person to do an individual assessment if you're interested in transitioning into cybersecurity, and take some of the notes that I have, and actually make a decision on whether cybersecurity is for you or not. Because at the end of the day, you can be given a million types of information outlets that would tell you that if you take this cybersecurity course for 3 months, within 4 months, you're going to be making $150,000 a year. Okay. Now, I'm going to be honest about that. No, because, unless you know someone, unless you already worked in technology, all right, that's when it happened. That's why it's important to do your homework. Watch out for scams out there too, because I can go over LinkedIn. I see so much information about transitioning into cybersecurity, and about 30 days, but I don't look at their programs. Now I will say that there is a great program out there. If you go to diversitycybercouncil.com and you go to that webpage, okay, there is a 5 to 6 week course out there that will definitely position you to transition into cybersecurity, because part of what I do here is to help the nonprofit out and try to promote people into cybersecurity. But it's a very structured process. It's like very intense, and you learn. Okay, so if you're out there now and if you're interested in transitioning into cybersecurity, go to www.diversitycybercouncil.com and gain the most relevant information on transitioning into cybersecurity, because this is the first ever in the city of Atlanta cybersecurity apprenticeship program that was built. All right, so go out there and do your research on Diversity Cyber Council, and I'm going to keep repeating that because it's such a great program. All right, everybody. It was nice being here today, and as always, right? I always like to state that we're only as safe as our mindset. All right. So you keep that in mind, and I'll see you on the next episode.